Hey, what's up guys? Tony here, and you're watching some more Project Cars. This is race 3 of 5 of the Clio Cup, and in this race we are at Silverstone. And for me, this is an interesting configuration because I'm used to the iRacing configuration of Silverstone, and this is the most, the most recent, the most modern version of Silverstone. iRacing doesn't have that version, it's got an older version. So for me, that configuration is what I know, and I don't know, especially this layout. It's a completely different layout than what from what I'm familiar. I'm slightly familiar with this version of Silverstone from Assetto Corsa, but I haven't raced Assetto Corsa all that much. I think maybe I have like 5 hours in total, and of that I spent most of it, I think, at Monza. And I didn't really venture into this version of Silverstone that often. I'm just not used to this version of the track, and it's kind of nice that there's a practice session, as I mentioned before. You got like 30 minutes. You can have up to 30 minutes of practice. You got to qualify, and then you've got 2 races to sort of get it together. And I did a good job of getting it together and sort of working things out in practice and in qualifying. But there were just sections of the track that the AI was just incredibly fast, where I wasn't, and I just didn't understand some of the angles. And so you'll see that come out in this race for sure. There's one thing that I want to ask before I jump into the topic at hand, and that is my week 4 video. It doesn't have any sound, and here's what happened. So I went to record yesterday, and what happened is that Chin was like, hey, we have an update. You want to download it? And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, I want to download that update because I want to make sure all my software is updated. And what happened is it pretty much bricked action for me. So it would, like, every time I tried to open it, it was like, boing, error code 106. And I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And I really wanted to play Project Cars, and I really wanted to get that next race done. And so what I did is I just, I turned Shadowplay on. And so I had it set up to where I always have it set up, and for whatever reason, it just didn't record the audio. So I want to know, and it was a really good race. Like, I actually had 2 really good races, and I'm kind of curious, would you guys be interested in watching that even though it doesn't have sound, or should I just go ahead and skip it and then, come back the next week? Either that, or I'll just have to maybe do sort of a topical commentary over the entire video, so that way it doesn't get dead. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section whether or not, one, you think I should do it, and then if so, I'll go ahead and do it. But it was a pretty solid race. I was really happy. It's at Alton Park, and it's a track that I know fairly well. It's a track I haven't raced very often because I think last season was the first time that I've ever raced it. But anyways, it's a track that I do like, and I had a pretty good run there. Several good races, actually. I can actually talk about, I'll do that. I'm thinking about it. Let me know for sure, but I've got an idea what I could do to talk about sort of pit strategies and stuff like that in the next video, because it would be applicable. But to go on to the topic at hand for this video, the question that I want to pose to you guys is, do you guys think that Project Cars will be as popular and have as big of a, say, an impact? I don't want to say cultural impact because that's a little too bold, but do you think it'll have as big of an impact as, say, like Gran Turismo or Forza? Because, as I've said before, I really see Project Cars as a simcade. It is a game that is right smack in between a true racing simulator, say like iRacing, and arcade racers such as Gran Turismo and Forza. And I mean, even if you were to get into it, you could have even more arcade versions of an arcade game. So you've got, what would be one? Like Need for Speed. It's definitely like an arcade game. It's not a sim, it's not a simulation. It's not really a simcade. But I would say Gran Turismo and Forza are more on the arcade spectrum than they are on the simulation spectrum. And so that's, like I said, that's where I see Project Cars fits in. It's right there in between those 2 titles, those 2, franchises. So anyways, I don't think it's gonna be that popular, as popular as, say, Gran Turismo or Forza. And I say that because Gran Turismo and Forza have tapped into the tuner culture. All right, so I say that because Gran Turismo and Forza have tapped into the tuner culture, right? So they came out, gosh, I can't, PlayStation 1 for sure. I don't remember what year I got into playing Gran Turismo 1. I don't remember what year I got it. I got it. But I do remember Gran Turismo being in the very first Fast and the Furious movie, and Fast and the Furious obviously tapped into that same culture, tuner culture, right? And that was about the same time that import tuning became a big thing. That was it must have been my junior to senior year in high school, because I really got into racing. I got really into car tuning and import tuning like after I got out of high school in 2001. So about that same time, you've got Gran Turismo Forza coming out, and like I said, it taps into that culture. And a lot of people really dig that about Gran Turismo, right? So you can just go out and pretty much buy your favorite car and then modify it and then make it race ready. Or you can just go buy a car and go race it, and then slowly modify it to make it as fast or as racy as you want. And I think that's one of the factors that Project Cars lacks, is that it's based in professional racing with requirements, right? Well, not necessarily requirements, because you can just sign up for whatever series you want to run, so it's not very stringent. There's really not a progression to it. You're just like, yes, I want to run GT3, go run, or I want to run F1. So it takes the progression out of the game, but it doesn't really diminish from the fun, because the fun is in the racing itself. I think the expectations with Project Cars is that it's going to grab you with the ease of the cars. It'll grab you with the graphics, the weather, the day-night transitions. I shouldn't say hopefully, but probably AI to a lesser extent, because the AI in previous, like Forza, was, the AI I played in Forza was very aggressive, not very fast, but very aggressive, and the AI in Gran Turismo was consistent but slow. They wouldn't get out of the way. So you kind of had to bump them out of the way. But once you pass them, they never would catch up. They were just so slow. And so I've talked about AI twice before, so I don't want to go into it again. But that's just kind of a question I had, is that are we at a stage now, and I guess this is more of a cultural question than like a game, like a video game question or a game mechanics question, but do you guys feel, like I asked before, do you guys feel that Project Cars has the opportunity to make itself make a significant impact into gaming culture, or just maybe car culture in general? Because that's really what we're going to end up talking about, is car culture. The world is getting, I wouldn't say America is a car cultured country, but I think the world pretty much is a car cultured country now, and motorsports has a place. And so I think it depends on what kind of motorsports what does the average gamer respond to, I guess, is what I'm saying. A race simulator, is very much it's sought after only a small segment of the motorsports community, where I think, like I said, Forza and Gran Turismo, they tap into they can tap into people that really like structured professional racing, and it also taps into people that are car tuners and gearheads, and they want to modify the cars, make it go fast, and have a good time of it. So what I'm thinking of is that if Project Cars wants to evolve, if it wants to get to that level, I think it would have to offer another component that was more Gran Turismo like, more Forza like, where you can go out, maybe produce some sort of in-game currency, because right now you sign these contracts and I don't really know I doubt you get paid, because there's really no currency. If you wreck, you don't have to pay for tires, you don't have to pay for the overhead of your racing team, you're just the driver, so somebody else is doing all that behind the scenes, but there's no currency involved, which would be interesting if there was like ownership in Project Cars. If you could have ownership of the team and you can make money, you could spend money, and it becomes more of a complete race simulator, not just a driving simulator, driving simcade. That would be interesting, because like looking at sports games, all sports games will have, now at least, they'll have like a my player, which would be the same as like a solo career. They've got a franchise mode, which would be like the team owner, And even at that, when you're playing in a franchise mode, you can either simulate the games, like, you know, a whole season or every week, or you could play them. So you could be, I guess, technically, you could be like a race owner who's also a driver. So you could be like Patrick Dempsey, right? So he's an actor and famous, but he's also a race car driver. He's a team owner, Dempsey Racing, and he's a race car driver as well. So that would be kind of cool, and I think that would be something that'd be unique to bring in that aspect of the tuner car culture, which I think would allow Project Cars to have a little longer legs, and it might let the game last a little longer, because I have a feeling that Project Cars might last, the interest in Project Cars might last for maybe 6 months. That all depends on the online experience, of course. That the online experience definitely carries titles through beyond the 4 to 5 months that kind of seems to last. That's like the life cycle of most single-player campaigns, about 4 to 5 months. I mean, well, for the titles themselves, campaigns, you know, they last like, I don't know, 30 hours, if that, if you're lucky. But the life cycle of a game typically is 4 to 6 months, and then DLC usually comes out, right? So something's gonna have to come out for Project Cars. Maybe Rally. That'd be kind of interesting, right? So you can get a little rally in there, rally racing. Although you've got like games like Dirt Rally coming out that are in early alpha right now. But I guess I'm just sort of, even though I'm wondering if Project Cars will have longevity of Gran Turismo and Forza, I'm also sort of pondering what are things that Project Cars can do to increase its likelihood of remaining a game worth playing for a longer period of time. So like I could see, I bring in the tuner culture, having that as a separate section. You could have your organized professional racing that they've established the game as, and then maybe Rally. Pretty much what that would do is like rebuild it as like probably the best graphically Gran Turismo game ever, or Forza game, but still grounding it in that simcade realism, right? I don't know, so that's kind of what I'm thinking, and it sort of comes out on the top of my head just now. What do you guys think? Like I asked before, do you think that Project Cars has the ability, the longevity to, I don't know, beat out like a Gran Turismo or Forza? I mean, when's the next Gran Turismo coming out on the PS4? Who knows, right? And I don't know when the next Forza is coming out, and that's obviously an Xbox One exclusive. So it'd be interesting to see what can compete, because obviously the crew didn't have any legs. It just pretty much fell flat on its face. Everyone who said that was going to be great ended up not liking it, and so far Project Cars doesn't seem to have that problem. I think it's the racing game that everyone's been waiting for, but I think more people are waiting for like a Gran Turismo Forza-like game with Project Cars graphics and, I guess to a lesser extent, AI. But that's my take on it. So like I said, I'm interested in hearing from you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up early, and I don't know, there's probably just a handful of minutes left in the race. This is a pretty strong race. It was like, it had me sort of on the edge of my seat, gripping my steering wheel pretty tight the whole time. It's kind of like, I think this was a race, so I was like, okay, I think AIs can be kind of exciting. Sometimes you blow them away, sometimes they're just overly aggressive, and this was a nice balance. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I shall talk to you guys later.